Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 263. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot O'Neill. Joining me here as always, except when he's not, is BT Calloway.
Hello, chums, champs, and chumps.
And joining us all the way from beautiful Adelaide in South Australia, and joining us from Roll to Cast is Sean Flierl.
Hello, pumps, pams, and pimps.
Hey.
And click, clackety, duck, this is what the fuck I want. Simpsons Index. We review Simpsons, and today is a very exciting day, Sean. I'm glad to have you on for this one because this is the last episode from season 20 for us to review.
Oh my God.
The Simpsons Index.
And I'm assuming is this the first time that you haven't tailor-made an episode kind of to me-ish?
Yeah, I kind of run out of anything that had a Futurama or D&D reference in it, yeah.
You know, Sean, the immigrant. Clear. That's how you know me.
Yep, famously.
Oh, are you?
I mean, aren't we all?
True. Yeah. Yes. Always was, always will be. Yep.
No, however, that being said, my great-great-grandfather was the first Lutheran missionary in Papua New Guinea, and then my grandparents on my father's side left the war in World War II to come here, and my granddad on my mum's side was a 5-pound pom?
Ah, okay,
what's that?
classic.
It's how to explain.
There was a certain point during history where England was like, "Hey, 5 bob, and you get to go to the Australias. Why not?"
Yeah,
and a bunch of English people were like, "Why, that sounds like a jolly good plan. I'll do that."
and so they're
So they
called
became
5-pound
known as
poms.
5-pound poms.
I have a feeling now that you mentioned that might have been my grandmother. Because, my granddad also came to Australia to lie about his age and fly in the Air Force or something. I'm not sure. I should know these things.
No.
As a brief aside, you can cut this if you want. I didn't realize until I was like 20. So my grandpa's name was I knew it as Eric Hans Flierl. Turns out that was what he swapped it to. He was actually Hans Eric Flierl. But when it's World War II and you're coming to Australia, people have a weird side eye at you if you're called Hans. It's not a good reason, but it's a reason.
It makes sense at the time.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, we'll skip the Hans part and
Make it my middle name and they'll never know.
Just hide it between the two other names.
No one ever asks your middle name."
It's the sweeping it under the rug of names. May as well hook into it. Yeah, today we are reviewing Season 20, Episode 21, Coming to Homerica. First released in May of 2009, it was written by Brendan Hay, directed by Stephen Dean Moore. In this episode, Krusty releases a new vegetarian burger, which is made up a lot of barley grain, which comes from Ogdenville, but it turns out the barley grain was tainted. And when news gets out that there were rats in the system, and there's always rats when it comes to barley, Ogdenville essentially gets shut down, and all its residents move to Springfield, where they start working, taking day laborer jobs and, quote, all the jobs that no one else wants to do. And then it's a whole issues episode about immigration and all that. Hey, y'all, what'd you think?
Teflon. I watched this like 2 hours ago. I can't remember it.
I watched it 10 minutes before this podcast aired. Not aired. It was not a future thing that I did before we recorded.
Yeah.
I am actually... Look, I just want to say this off the get-go. I have a question. Is this the first time, besides the monorail reference, that is this the first time we see a proper insight into Ogdenvillians, or have they done this before?
They do occasionally throw to Ogdenville or North Haverbrook. I can't quite remember what episodes, but maybe when they go to get like, is Marge's Chanel dress from like an outlet in Ogdenville or something?
Oh, I think you're right.
Or maybe when they the refrigerator engine burns out, they have to go to like Ogdenville to get a new one, something like that.
Oh, that's
wild.
wild.
I'm just checking out simpsons.fandom.com, and it does have a few mentions. Scenes from Class Struggle in Springfield. Reviewed that with Ellen of Roll to Cast.
Wink.
Bart Star, it's one of the football teams they play again, mentioned in Saddle Sore Galactica, Skinner, Sense of Snow, and a few other episodes.
So this is the first time we actually go in and kind of see them in Ogdenville living, sort of thing.
Yeah, and what the culture is, which seems to be a lot of Norwegian immigrants as well.
They're descended from originally Norwegian settlers. Look, this was fine. I was like every orifice clenched tight when I noticed this was an immigration episode. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, how bad is this going to be? It's 2009. I only just graduated high school. Things weren't great.
Yeah, I mean, because of that as well, because, like, yeah, the end of the episode ends with, like, a whole build-a-wall angle, and it is, like, a funny little reminder that this whole build-a-wall thing had been happening way earlier than 2016 and all.
Really? This was 2009? Holy
Yeah, it's 2009, because I ran to the Wikipedia to see what year it came out.
I
So,
just
like,
assumed.
yeah, does this predate Trump's wall?
Well, we know where he got the idea.
Well, because Arrested Development Season 4 as well had a big
true.
storyline arc based around that as well. And what was that? 2013. So, yeah, before all that.
Yeah, I appreciate at the very least that it does very much lean under the Springfieldians are ignorant assholes. Like, it's very much rah-rah America, and then it ends up being like, let's just be normal human beings and invite them over. And there's some fun nice moments in it, but it's largely You know what? It's one of the more less egregiously offensive ones you've given me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
nice.
well, especially with an issues episode where they keep showing immigrants and them foreigners and all that. Yeah, it's I think its worst sin is that it's boring. Like,
Yes. I love that, like, we still remember that Mo was an immigrant, so he's very much the pro... Yeah, he's like pro-immigration, and he's like, absolutely, they're fine by me, because he's Dutch.
Yeah, well, and I mean, he's pro-business in the end, and, you know, it's all about the King Harrods for him. I did actually like that line.
Yes, I think I'm not getting onto favorite moments already, but I also, in terms of lines, love the Krusty Burger being the most unhealthy item, even more so than a double Krusty Burger. Somehow yes.
Yeah. No, that was good. That was when I was like really enjoying the episode. It was, what's a burger episode? And no, it's not about that at all.
Not even close to being about burgers.
It has a very weirdly rushed third act.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of setup. They settle in the middle for a while, and they're like, oh shit, we need to end it.
Yeah, if I can smoothly glide this segue over to what stuck out to me, for better or worse.
Ooh, do it.
We get to chanting out the fence with 5 minutes left in the episode.
Yeah.
It's like, we just got to the point and you guys are out of time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, on an episode that had the full introduction and a reasonably long couch gag. Like, not the longest, but it's the, Simpsons kind of travel through television through history kind of thing.
Yeah, literally my first note about this is that was a near 2-minute intro. That is insane that you didn't have more of this episode to do, when it especially ends with them working on the fence, and then all of a sudden, hey, we built a door and we're all friends now. It's all very it was the very quickest way to wrap this thing up.
It's kind of weird, because I assume that a lot of the reason that they sometimes have long intros is because they don't have enough to fill an episode idea, and yet this one is rife for content and for commentary that they can use, and they just rushed the end. I feel like that's an extra minute you could have applied onto that third act.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, or in the instance, that's all the episode needed to be, that only needed to go for that long. And this one, I'm like, this should have gone a minute longer. How about you, Sean? What stands out to you from this one, for better or worse?
You know what? This feels like it largely... And because I think that I have had some season 25 and onwards episodes with you, maybe even some 30 onwards, I'm not quite sure. I think I've done one, which was the last time that we saw Mona Simpson. What I appreciate is, for the most part, a lot of these Simpsons characters still felt like them personality-wise. It still felt like, for the most part, Lisa's still Lisa, Homer's still Homer, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, Lisa being like, it was like, oh, would you still have a glass of milk and a hug? It's like, yes, both right now, please. It's just very sweet and very still her.
Yeah, I love that moment where...
Yeah, that was my heart moment.
The Simpsons weirdly don't get a lot to do in this episode, and Lisa is just mostly there to call out the hypocrisy, and she's like, to remind you, our family was once immigrants, and then, Homer's like, well, you were once a baby. Do you still want milk and hugs? Like, yes. And then that was just a very sweet moment. It was a really nice joke for the act to go out on that didn't resolve their issue at all, but She got a glass of
That's a
milk and a
bit.
hug. It was very cute.
Yeah, that was nice.
I want one now.
We're going to offer one to all our patrons.
Yes. It's one of your Patreon perks. You get a hug and a glass of milk if you see us in the wild.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting aspect to this episode where I think this you could actually done better with a bit more finesse and a bit more heart. This could actually be a classic era-esque episode. Like I can see the bones of it, the foundation of it. And to me, sorry, I'm ruining your format because I'll talk about what I would do to fix it later because I've got ideas for that and I'll leave that for its spot.
Yes, I do put that later in the questionnaire, so we dissect the episode a little bit more.
Yeah.
And me standing out with my scalpel is what stood out to me is, what the episode does with the Ogdenvillians, like it's doing a lot of like what you would hear like Americans talking about, Mexicans coming in over the border and all that sort of stuff, but they play it safe by having them of Norwegian descent, so they can skirt a lot of these things and do jokes about the parallels and things like that.
Yeah, it did kind of weird me out, though, that Ogdenvillians basically become Norwegians at a certain point.
Yep.
Like, that was just odd. And I think there was something kind of funnier to... They're still, Americans. They just come from a different place, but it still has that parallel. And that's, I don't know, it feels like more of an absurd parody to point at someone who's just come in from 2 states over, yet they're being treated like foreigners who, when Marge is all like, now, did you have kitchens back in Ogdenville? That feels funnier when they're not from a different descent or anything.
If it's just literally a Shelbyvillian.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, because there are moments where it's just like, they are othered, and it feels weird, especially when like Marge starts to get a little racist there as well, and the scene when they go to the hospital, it's like, oh, I can't read this loopy bloopy language. And then they're talking about, and they've got their Ogdenvillian colds. And then Homer's like, "Jenna hurt. Oh, I got that cold." Like, it's moments like these that, like, icky. Yeah,
there's a bit of, like, lowest common denominator in terms of some of the jokes there. It's like, I'm just going to say you're smarter than that. But, I mean, I did see what was very fun was I saw at that point they've still got Bill Odenkirk as a co-executive producer. So I don't know if he's still working on it or not, but I'd love to see him there. I don't think
he's still working on it, but he was there for a long time and had a lot of penned episodes, definitely. And was able to use his standing to get Bob over to do a couple of voice spots here and there. I will say the one like blatantly racist moment, like which does actually, funnily enough, exist outside of all of the Ogdenville stuff, is when Krusty first releases the hamburger. Apu's there, and he goes, "Oh, finally a burger for the vegetarian. Now people will know that I'm a full-blooded American." And then he just launches into Indian-style singing and dancing out of nowhere, and it's just like, this is something very easy for Hari Kondabolu to point to and go, this is a problem with Apu.
Absolutely.
Like, in an episode that is trying to be tactful about tackling racist issues and people's feelings towards immigrants, just to have this out-of-place racist joke just...
2009, baby.
Yeah, really soured the intro part of the episode, which I was actually enjoying.
Yeah, and I will say, like, speaking of the intro, as much as I don't want it to be there and it's too long, I did enjoy the couch gag because I've got a bit of like 80s nostalgia and such. I wouldn't have put Bart Simpson as Woody Harrelson in Cheers, but I'm glad he's there. And the Kelsey Grammer bit makes love it.
Yeah, nice little inside reference there. I mean, it was not at that point that I'm like, oh no, they're doing the long couch gag, this is gonna be bad. It was like, okay, if this ends up being they didn't have enough time for the script, I'm going to wonder why they have this long couch gag.
Yes.
So,
but I do like this TV through time couch gag. And it works really well, and that Kelsey Grammer joke's great. It's just, this did become like their circus couch gag of this day, though, so we have seen it a few times, but it's nice to note someone with fresh eyes goes, that was nice.
Yeah. Oh, I miss the circus one. That was that elaborate one they used to use a lot in the classic episodes. That was very clearly because their episode was thin.
Yeah. It's on some great episodes that were just way too efficient for their own good.
Yeah, 100%. This one, not so much. But was it a wacky episode of The Simpsons?
When Ogdenvillians start moving in, they kind of have like a pan over the land of Ogdenville, which has Ogdenville written on it, like, hey, why don't you come on over, boys? And then
The letters were people.
Yeah, letters were people.
I wrote down bush haircut, and I that's right. Someone's trimming like a hedge, and then it zooms out, and the hedge has like a barber's bib on.
Yes.
Who's paying for that? Like, they're really taking
The
advantage
hedge,
of them.
Elliot. Hedges are looking after them. They have hedge funds. Yeah,
BT.
deal with it. And xylophones are the sound of skeletons dancing.
Oh,
Ugh.
yeah. I always forget what his name is.
Did you guys
but-
I hated this
No.
whole riff.
I was okay with Homer's line, but then having Largo run away by going on a xylophone was
Yeah, it was this whole
very
thing where
labored.
Homer was going, I'm xylophobic, and then Lisa's like, I think you mean xenophobic, and he goes, no, I'm afraid of xylophones. That's the noise that skeletons make when they dance. And then it just ended up being this whole town hall meeting, xenophobia. It was tired.
Yeah.
Also, there's a bit of I apologize, you will hear a bit of a party going around in the background here.
Are we
Always
taking
a
away from
party
a
over at
rollercast
Rollercast.
party there?
No, not at all. I wasn't invited.
Aw.
No, it's just
rude.
In
friends.
your own house?
Yeah.
Look, he rolled for it and he didn't get a good,
you know what?
Roll for invite?
I'm going to be that person that dissects a joke because it doesn't make sense. So one of two things happened here with that joke. Either Homer's actually trying to say that he's xenophobic, and no one who is xenophobic says they're xenophobic.
No.
Yeah.
And the second thing is he's actually trying to say he's xylophobic. Why?
Is that what they're covering in the meeting today?
Why? So, like, I just go, my problem with references without a reason and jokes that make no, like, wordplay can still be logical. Wordplay should be logical.
It's
and
what
it
makes
just,
it work.
for me, I go, okay.
Yeah.
And it
There
would
you go.
be enough just to have the one line and just move on without but that's all the town hall meeting comes about.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Just imagine someone sitting there with the word xenophobia written down going, how do I make you funny?
Yeah.
but yeah, it is an episode that doesn't have a lot of like wacky cartoon moments. I guess you got the little bit of montage, with the Ogdenville's labors. And then,
Ralph is a tumbleweed.
I did
Oh,
like
yep.
that. Yeah, I'm surprised that's not a Ralph gif that gets floated around. Ralph being a tumbleweed at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was. I did like the a bit of animation moment when they decide, we're going to close the border and no Ogdenvillians allowed in, and then they're just crossing the border anyway because Chief Wiggum's inept. Like,
Yeah.
just one guy coming through on a horse, and then Chief, there's one walking right through your legs right now.
Yes. Yep.
Again,
Yeah.
no reason for him to do it that way, but it's funny that he did. And
Yes. I guess, I don't know if it's wacky so much as it is just unrealistic, but I liked it, is what did Bart do? Did Bart change the wheels of his skateboard while he was in the air?
Yeah.
Or did he great. Love
juggled
it.
them.
Yeah.
Hell of a stunt.
That's how he shreds.
He's gotten so much better at skating over the years. I've got to give him credit.
It's true. That's a hell of a trick.
He could do that while jumping the gorge these days, yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, how was the heart in this episode? Did we feel the bumps?
No.
I mean, milk and hugs was the best we got.
Milk and hugs. Yeah.
Look, there's a bit at the end where, while they're building the wall, they're all like, talking and realizing they're not so different in the end. And I kind of like Ned's, back and forth of, well, I wanted a 4-button blazer, but I couldn't find one, so I got a 3-button vest, and then added the extra button. The other Ogdenvillian guy's like, oh, I know what you mean. I had a 5-button sweater vest, but I had to remove a button. It's, the
We're the same,
mundanity.
you and I.
Yeah, it's mundane and stupid enough for me to kind of like that.
The Flanders delivery of that final line was very sincere as well, so that added to it as well. Just, no, we're not so different, you and I, are we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually the "we're not so different" is just such a labored, done cliche that it's always a pain when you hear it. But yeah, I agree that Flanders delivered it in such a way that it actually worked.
I liked Flanders in this episode. And he comes here unexpectedly. Yes, I do. And didn't stay often. No, I don't.
He just leaves.
That was one that I was like, fuck, wasn't that from a classic episode? I'm surprised this one was so
Yeah.
late, because that is such a classic era joke in my
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole ending, that was a nice moment, and that was one where I felt like that was actually a perfect marriage of like jokey complaints and characters matching up, like Snake talking about, oh my god, and my girlfriend has so many pillows on the bed, and it's like we have to take them all off. Like, it's a funny complaint for him to have.
Yep.
And then that Ogdenvillian helping Bart out with his spray paint and advising him on using primers and things like it was all very nice.
Also, you've got a very good bassy voice for Snake as well. I just realized.
All right.
All right.
You're not going to believe this, but after decades of watching The Simpsons, Elliot's got some pretty good impressions tucked down his sleeve.
Yeah, look, I mean, Simpsons, if you're listening, we know you are, and you need replacements for any of your voice cast. I could do a couple.
Yeah,
I've got a very good Lisa Simpson, but, you know, I'll save it.
We have to kick
call
in the
me
balls first. So.
Yeah.
God, I'll pay to hear that, Lisa.
Well, you can hear it on Patreon, but later.
Just the most beautiful plug.
And ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Actually, Sean, you were saying this before. You thought they were actually very on point.
More so, yeah. It still feels like they haven't strayed super far away, and there's foundations of it that, like, you can see where it is veering away, and there's some things that don't quite make the cut in terms of the vibe and the Family Guy-esque nature of some of it. But maybe I'm just spoiled comparatively for what I know is to come, but it did still feel enough like the show.
I didn't really clock that until you mentioned it, but you're right. I didn't feel like anyone was off-brand here, again, especially compared to what will come.
Yeah.
I thought Marge's little freak out was a little bit too much.
Marge is a bit too racist in this episode.
I did expect a bit more of a moment when Maggie's first words are in Ogdevilian accent. That's a weird sentence.
Yeah, Maggie's first word, which at this stage in the show is her 20th word, but whatever.
But let's not go on that.
She goes, yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought there was going to be a moment of, I've been letting, it's not that Ogdevilians are taking over, it's that I've been, letting Maggie spend too much time with her nanny rather than looking after her myself. That kind of heart moment, but we kind of skip right past that, and Marge's just like, no, demon.
Yes, yeah.
And especially, I think there is a funny thing to do about that because, you do see sometimes, videos of, parents of, American or whatever whose kids have been, watching Bluey and they say, Mom, in a very Australian accent.
That's fantastic, yes.
That sounded like me, it didn't sound like anything because, me doing an impression of an Australian. I am Australian, but I had a moment myself where my nephew, when he was a, really young boy, he loved Peppa Pig and he legitimately called my sister-in-law Mommy, just like Peppa Pig, and I was like, ugh.
I have kind of the opposite. My nephew's picked up a lot of Americanisms.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's like he calls it Yoshi, and I'm like, no, it's Yoshi.
No, it's Yoshi. What are you on about?
Oh, does he go, let's play Mario Kart on Mario.
I didn't lean on the O hard enough when I said it. But
Yoshi.
Hey, I'm Yoshi over here.
Wow, your nephews sound weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
But no, I think there's a more funny thing to do with that. And yeah, Beach, I think you're right that, it shouldn't have been a, they've poisoned my child moment, which it was. Yeah. It should have been more of a, I've been letting them do too much. Yeah. Anyway.
Come on, Marge.
But yes, no, would you watch this episode again?
I mean, as I think Beach kind of hit the nail on the head. It's largely forgettable. It's not bad. It's just a meh. So, I mean, if you put it on, I won't turn it off, but I'm not going to actively seek it out.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's a laundry thing. If this is a good one to fold laundry to.
Yeah.
Don't need to pay attention, not going to miss a thing.
Yeah, that's really the best light you can shine on it, really, is that it's it's not the worst thing we've had to watch for this thing, but yeah, I haven't exactly got a new favorite or anything like that.
It's not going to bring season 20's overall rank sky high or anything.
We'll get the final ranking for season 20 when we move on to that.
Exciting.
But first, we must ask a few other questions like, what would we change, BT? What would you like to change about coming to Homerica?
Tighten up them dogs. There's something to be said about once we finally get to the idea of, building the wall, and we get there with a reasonable pace. I do like Homer starts off loving all these Ogdevilians. Then when they have to go to the hospital, there's this huge line because there's, they're taking up the medical system, and there should be a comment there about how the system's basically unable to handle the volume of people it should, not that it's the immigrants' fault. But, we get there naturally enough between, we love all these guys. Oh, wait, now we hate all these guys. You just need to pace this a bit better. So maybe make that beginning faster, trim something out of the intro, which again was 2 minutes long, and you could have had 10 seconds. The Simpsons, and you're in, and that frees up a full minute and a half. And yeah, just tighten up the storytelling, get to the point a little bit faster.
Yeah, how about you, Sean?
I want to make Lisa a bit more of a central focus of this episode.
Yes.
I would love, and I was thinking about this. At first, I was thinking, it would be great to have Lisa as a voice of reason and really calling them out more. But I think for it to feel more of a classic Simpsons episode and have more of a heart to it, I think while everyone is kind of, turning on the Ogdenvillians, Lisa strikes up a friendship with someone from Ogdenville. And there's that kind of like connection between the two of them, and she and this Ogdenvillian child maybe like work together to help everyone see that they're not so different. And this wall idea is stupid and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And then like it gives you an emotional center for the episode. You can still make all the commentary that you want, and you tighten it up because they said a lot of the same jokes 10 times, like everything from the hospital to the nanny stuff. Like you don't need to hamper too much on we like them doing stuff for them, then we don't like them doing stuff for us. And you can make that much more simpler and focus on Lisa as the heart. So it's like a big overhaul of the episode, but the overall message is the same.
Yeah, well, on that as well, because they introduce Selma has partnered up with one of them. So like it's just weird that there isn't like more people conflicted about this and like campaigning on behalf of the Ogdenvillians and like saying, no, we actually like them here. And maybe they're clogging up the hospitals, but there's a reason for that. And
the healthcare system sucks.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a drain on the resources. The resources themselves are inept. Like, that's the thing that I felt like the episode should be hitting on more, because, like, you
hear that every time they talk about immigration in the US. It's like, it'll clog up this and that. It's like, no, it's because those systems are bad and they can't handle any kind of strain.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, this episode plays it safe, probably wisely in some areas, but it does need to be a bit more daring in that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is time for our final notes.
I forgot to do a thing for this. Final notes. Making our final notes.
What was that?
It's changed, has it, from
that was
the news segment?
Tell me how to get to Sesame Street. I just forgot about it. Can you tell me how to make these final notes?
Sean, do you have any final notes about parts of this episode you want to mention before we move on to the rankings?
That's the least BT has cared about that bit, and I love it.
Look, we're up to 200 something. I've done that song. I'm not a performing monkey. I don't dance for you people.
I look, when I come on this show, I've stopped doing notes because I do that with every podcast now because I'm lazy. Yeah. No, but the only note I had on here was just another joke that I was like, look, don't go near it, which is the trans fat jokes. I was like, just don't, leave it alone. Don't go near it. You're fine. Yeah. You don't need to.
You didn't. Yeah, it was. What was the line?
Yeah.
One of them he/she fats, the trans fats. Like,
It's just they learned what trans meant that week, and it's like, oh, that could be like trans. Yeah, it's again. Best avoided.
Yeah, I think, I also, the other bit I kind of enjoyed was them using Santa's Little Helper's bone to put in Bart's mouth while they put his shoulder back into place, and Santa's Little Helper did not like that.
Yeah, looks at the bone with this look of, you're dead to me now.
Yeah.
And in a very squelchy moment when, they use the exact right Foley sound effects when they're snapping Bart's arm back into place.
Yes.
How about you, BT? Any final notes?
Let's see. So there's a bit during Krusty's ad where he's like, a farmer out on the farm, and he says, it's a new world. People care about their health for some reason. That was all right.
I do love all of Krusty's like cynical corporate mode, like, and especially with like the pregnancy tests are faulty or like unappealing, whatever. He's just like rebrand them as drink stirrers and sell them in the Philippines.
I'll add one on just because you let me think of it. It was Krusty having an eating burger double.
Yeah, when it goes like, now to take a delicious bite, and then it cuts to close up and it's someone else's mouth. Yeah, that's kind of a running gag.
The obviously edited part. Yeah, that was good.
I like the burgers also made from wheat-fed barley. Yep. But Skinner and Chalmers are sick. Chalmers like, hold my head and say soothing things.
Oh, you liked this?
Oh, I did too. I love the math at a third grade level. Third grade maths is staying steady or something to that effect. I love that just because I know teachers who really would be happy to know that.
I like any Skinner Chalmers that doesn't have skin. Because good Lord.
I wasn't even going to mention this, but seems that we're here. Like, just when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, you can cut this scene because it's like, why are they at school if they're sick? Like, maybe
Yes.
it was just a pre-COVID thing that people did that, I guess. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hard
look,
to think about, isn't it? Yeah.
If you're looking for cuts, that's an easy one to make for sure.
Yeah.
When there's the whole, montage of Ogdenville closing down, there's the store that sells clothes signs is like getting swamped.
Yeah, business is booming. Was that a specific reference as well? Like the color went a bit grayer,
yeah,
and
it's
there was
very Grapes of Wrath.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe. The other one is we were talking, I think, last time about the signs for Welcome to Springfield. This one says, Welcome to Springfield, 2-drink minimum.
Oh, yep.
There's a bit where like Bart's all like, can I have ice cream for breakfast? And Marge's like, no, chocolate chip pancakes and syrup for you. No ice cream. I was like, okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because like when you see like American breakfast cereals for kids, sometimes it's horrifying. There's one that's just literally cookies. Like,
Yep.
the
Yeah.
tiny
Cookie
little
crisps.
cookies that you put milk on.
Well, we pay our vigilantes in bullets and beer.
Yeah, so they were doing a bit of like border patrol shit here where, private citizens like start to take over, but they're just all drunken yahoos. But like it felt fairly superfluous. They didn't really dig in
Yeah.
or make great material
Bring
out
back
of
Spring Shield. I don't know.
that. Yeah.
And look, I think my last word is just a good little line of, does anyone know about building walls? Well, the Ogdenvillians do. Okay, well, get them to build their walls because they're good at it. Then we'll throw them out for not being good for nothing.
And I only had a couple of other notes. I did like the TV parody, The Drowningest Catch.
Make sure this goes to the trailer.
Kids, The Drowningest Catch was man. But then when they move on to the Krusty commercial, I think this episode might have been at least partially produced in the 4:3 era, because this is, season 20 is where they make the jump over to square to
You and your
widescreen.
aspect ratios, I swear.
Well, I just noticed because like the side borders of the ad were the curved old CRT TVs, but then there was nothing on the top and
true.
bottom. I feel like they zoomed
Right.
that in.
That's fantastic.
Well, did The Simpsons still have a CRT? Is going to be my question.
Well,
From
that's
their
the thing. I don't
perspective.
think they jumped straight into the HD era with one, There was a transition phase. Homer barfed right into the saxophone. That was,
Fundamentally gross.
the Foley work on that as well. Like another moment.
Yep.
Ooh, a
Well
lemon
done.
version of Barleyade? When in Springfield. And that's my final notes. It is time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold. But for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Bronze participant. I'll be nice and bronze. It's fine. It's not going to keep me up at night, but it's certainly not going to stop me from falling asleep during it as well. BT, what do you reckon?
Look, I'm glad you went bronze because it is better than a lot of participants that get clumped in this. However, I also think I spent the entire episode not laughing.
Yeah.
So even going through our notes of jokes we liked, I don't think any of us laughed at them. It was like, oh yeah. And that kind of reaction to a joke is
That happened.
that was amusing. So look, I'm gonna go a participant. It's a participant with like a thumbs up, but it's not one I really care for.
At least you tried, Cake.
Yep.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, I'd settled on okay bronze because I think, especially because you've got your cubic gold and silver ahead of it, bronze very much feels like it's not offensive, it's okay.
It's
and
going
I've
on
given
so
a
much
lot worse participant and failure. So like using my personal ranking system, I'd be remiss if I didn't give it at least a bronze. Not at least, at most a bronze.
Yeah.
And I do have one other question very quickly.
Sure.
Did they just admit that they're in the state of Tennessee?
Oh, where?
How so?
They said they're Tennessee Titans country, Springfield.
Oh.
Because they were wearing the Ogdenvillians were wearing Minnesota Vikings jerseys, and then they go, "Hey, Minnesota Viking jerseys, this is Tennessee Titans country." I was like,
wow.
"Oh."
Well, I mean, isn't Tennessee landlocked?
True.
So
and
I
they
think
do have
that's
the
the joke.
squid port.
They're like, hey, you can't wear that football team. We're a completely unrelated states football team territory.
Damn, thought I had a piece of information.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
look, it was a fair call, but
The more you know. Yeah, it still gets bronze then.
What do they say in the movie? The state borders Ohio, Nevada, Maine, and Kentucky, which, opposite sides of the map. They're those Simpsons, they're very
Hey, you know
Oh,
what
the
they're
rascals.
All right, well, dull bronze, and I have just crunched the numbers as well. This will make season 20 overall averaged as a shiny participant.
all right. At least you tried indeed.
Yeah, and coincidentally enough, as at the moment, it's our 20th best season.
Hey!
That's so very glass half full of you.
Yeah.
20th best.
Yeah, it's the second best of the 20 seasons as well. Season 22 is a couple of rankings above that, but yeah, so this is the second best of the HD 20s era.
With a shiny participant.
But I'm pretty sure, yeah, this one has the best rated episode for us out of the 20s with the Good, Sad, and the Drugly getting a dull gold.
Yeah. I remember that being good.
That actually does have a very famous gif where, like, everything's vomiting smiley faces and then Wiggum gets shot and then he bleeds out smiley face. I don't know if you've seen that shot.
No, I have not.
It's better than it sounds.
And then, yeah, we crowned the lowest ranking episode of that season the other week, My Pods and Boomsticks, episode which also tackles race, but does it much more poorly. Yeah, so that's season 20 in the bags. Yeah, the Index has now reviewed 21 seasons of The Simpsons in full.
Congrats.
Sorry, I just remember which one My Pods and Boomstick was. Ugh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, how do you feel after doing 21 seasons completion?
21 to go.
Till we die!
Yeah, once again, Sean, thank you so much for joining us today and letting me subject you to that. I'm glad it wasn't as bad as it sometimes has been.
No, not at all. I'm happy for you to happy to always come on and. Oh, do I have the? Could I spruik something real quickly while I'm here?
This is the part where I was going to ask you to plug and spruik and sell yourself.
A new thing that I can plug. First of all, for those who don't know, I'm part of Roll to Cast. We're the TTRPG podcast. We play a different game every season. You can find us ROLE. It's behind. No, this isn't a video podcast. For you two,
I assure
it's
you,
behind me.
There is a big, nice poster behind him.
Yeah,
with a QR code and everything that you can't scan.
Yeah.
Yes, you can check us out. Everything from Cyberpunk 2020 to Kids on Bikes to Starfinder to When is this coming out?
This week, actually.
Great. Well, then we've just finished. We just released our season finale of the Dune season. So check it out. The other thing I was going to say is if you actually want to get me more in something a bit more special, I am currently one of the Adelaide commentators for World Series Wrestling for the Adelaide leg. And they are currently about to do a batch of shows starting on June the 28th, culminating in their Adelaide show, which will be July 1st for Australian listeners. But you can actually see that live and hear my voice as a play-by-play commentator on Triller TV, which is what they now call Fight TV. So for any wrestling fans out there, that's names like Matt Cardona, Elijah, formerly Elias, the Pereira, Steph DeLander, Nick Namath, among
really? The former Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler, TJP, first cruiserweight champion in WWE, the new cruiserweight champion. Anyway, a whole slew of people. Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, formerly Dana Brooke. So a whole slew of people are going to be there, and you can hear my sultry tones on the commentary desk.
Listeners, I can tell you, Elliot's expression changed multiple times listening to that list of names. So while I know none of them, I'm assuming that was an impressive list.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Elias as well, who's now Elijah, you said?
Elijah, yes.
I had no idea he was dropped from the company, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a little while ago now, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. When I was scrolling through TikTok one day, I saw him, doing sermons, preaching. I'm like, oh, this wasn't just a gimmick.
No.
But yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, I'll put links to that in the show notes and any previous World Series wrestling shows. Wonderful to check out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, well done on getting that gig. And yeah, Roll to Cast as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the new season is, or is that still
No, I can let you know that big new things are coming, so it's not going to be anything that we've done before. We're in the middle of some big changes with the Roll to Cast, so you kind of just got to stay tuned to our social media or listening to the episodes as more information becomes available on that.
Yes, listeners, please go put Roll to Cast on your podcast feeds and subscribe, like, and share and all that. I'll put the links to the shows below. But what if the listeners want to check out more of us, BT?
Well, they can go to patreon.com/SideQuest Studios, where they can get over 170, that's right, 170 exclusive podcasts. Now, at the beginning of these, Elliot's always like, here as always, except when he's not. Have you ever wondered, what about those episodes BT didn't cover? Where can I hear him getting caught up on those? Well, that's where you can find them, folks, along with a host of other shows like DVD and Indextras, where we review the DVD extras on your favorite seasons, or Story of the Chalk, where we take what Bart is writing on the chalkboard and try to reverse engineer what kind of hidden episode must have happened to put Bart in that punishment.
That's an amazing idea. That's awesome.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
So
a lot
much
of
fun.
spitballing. But of course, you can also listen to our other podcast, which is Starring Springfield, which is where we review movies that star a cast of The Simpsons. And we just finished recording a review of Flesh and Blood, Paul Verhoeven's first English-speaking film, and it's a doozy. I'll tell you what. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know.
No, we had a lot to say on that one, and again, apologies, Sean. That's why we were 10 minutes late coming into the sessions today.
I was watching the episode.
Yeah, because that was a big one. But yeah, that's one of your Patreon perks. You get to suggest a movie for us to review.
Yep.
But yeah, you can only suggest a movie if a Simpsons cast member has been in it. But like, that does just mean we've got such a weird, wide array of like interesting movies that we've
We've
reviewed.
seen Mystery Men. We've seen Heat. We've
Godzilla.
seen Godzilla. Oh yeah,
Yep,
first
that
one
was the
anyone
first one we
says
did.
is Godzilla.
Because they cast like 4 peoples from The Simpsons.
Yep. Harry Shearer, Hank Azaria has a prominent role in it as well.
Yes.
And Nancy
Nancy
Cartwright has a little cameo in that. But yeah, so go check that out, patreon.com/SideQuest Studios. And yeah, you guys have got a Patreon as well at Rollercast as well.
That's right. /Roll2Cast, and you can play games with us. You can get early episodes. There's also a back catalogue of old shows that we used to try, like Roll to Chat, which was just kind of a behind the scenes look at the Pulp. I was going to say Pulp Fiction, the Pulp Cthulhu episode we did, and otherwise access to the Discord or the Patreon only Discord, and you can vote on the episodes that we do as well. But again, those are some things that are potentially under overhaul as well, but we're not sure yet. So, but still, you can come and support if you like what we do.
Assuming they're still there, and please cut this if they're not, the episodes of Elliot and I just talking to Ellen about our fictional crushes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I talked about Amethyst from Steven Universe. Who'd you do again?
Fucking Mila Jovovich from the Resident Evil movies, bro.
Lunch dates with Loki.
Alice forever.
How could I not remember that? Anyway, links to all that stuff in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and thank you for joining us, Sean.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I enjoy or hate love it every time.
Can't wait to have you back to hate love it some more.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, and our Call of Cthulhu campaign will be relaunching sometime later in the year. We'll
September, October, but more on that.
Yeah, there's VODs of our last season. Again, more links to chuck in the show notes. And thank you, BT.
Oh, we're not so different, you and I.
We're not. And I've been your host, Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all the barley in the house.
We're going to have to get ourselves some more barley, eh?
I like that change.
The one shot. Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can also check out our other shows, like Pulp Fury Radio, our scripted fiction podcast, which tells all original stories across a range of pulp genres, and Thrones of Game, where we review Game of Thrones in reverse order. Links to those podcasts and more will be available in the show notes. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode, so we'll catch you next week.